All right, so are you ready? Get ready for a deep dive, you guys, into something I think we all struggle with: procrastination. But here's the thing, this isn't like your typical generic advice session. We're going to go way deeper than that. We're going deep into your procrastination patterns specifically, using these really fascinating insights that we've gleaned from a case study.
Absolutely. And what makes this case study so interesting is it's a session of advanced conversational hypnosis.
Yeah.
And the client we're going to be looking at, Sophie, she's battling procrastination, but not just any procrastination.
Yeah.
It's the projects that she's most passionate about that she's procrastinating on, which is kind of a head scratcher, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, the things we love doing should be like the easiest to get into, to jump into. But like you said, it's often not that simple.
Right.
So to guide us through this, we're going to be listening in on Sophie's session with Virginie, who is an expert hypnotist, and who offers like brilliant commentary throughout the whole thing.
Exactly. So, let's just paint a picture of Sophie, first of all.
Okay.
She is a successful hypnotherapist.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, which makes this already like even more interesting.
Yeah.
She's someone who helps other people with their minds and is struggling with these creative blocks of her own.
Right, right.
She actually left a very stable career to pursue this path, and she's built a thriving practice. And here's the thing, she really hits a wall when it comes to bringing her own ideas, her own creative ideas to life.
Ah, okay.
Things like writing a book, developing workshops,
Yeah.
all those passion projects that I think a lot of us can relate to, a lot of us dream about.
Okay, so she's clearly capable, she's driven, but something's stopping her. I'm already like hooked. What do we know about that? Like, what do we know about what it might be?
Well, one of the first clues comes from Sophie herself. So she initially kind of blames a lack of discipline and self-discipline, which on the surface, like that makes sense, right? I mean, if you're procrastinating, maybe it's just that you don't have the discipline. But if we dig a little deeper, we actually see that explanation kind of clashes with a few things.
Okay.
Like, for example, number one, she was successful in a career that was very discipline-heavy before becoming a hypnotherapist.
Right.
And for another, she had actually fully developed these workshops, but hadn't launched them.
So she had done the work, but just hadn't put it out there.
Yeah. And so that makes you wonder, like, if it were purely a discipline issue,
Right.
wouldn't those workshops, be launched? Or at least, like, consistently being worked on?
That is such a good point. Like, I know I've definitely fallen into that trap of like blaming my lack of discipline when in fact it's something else completely.
Totally.
Yeah. And I didn't even realize it, It's like my own internal detective work had failed.
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
And, I think this discrepancy, it makes me wonder, could there be something deeper going on here? Something beyond just discipline, right?
Yeah.
And as we delve further, there's this fascinating clue that emerges.
Okay.
Sophie actually uses this French phrase, mise en matière, multiple times.
Okay.
And it literally means putting into matter.
Putting into matter. Okay.
And so it seems like she's really struggling to manifest her ideas in the real world.
Yeah.
To bring them to life.
Ooh, that phrase really jumps out at me. It's not just about like physically doing the work, like physically writing the book or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's like there's this block between like her amazing ideas and actually making them a reality in the world.
Right. And to make things even more interesting, Sophie also expresses a longing for, and this is another French word, fil conducteur, which means a guiding thread.
Okay.
But here's the paradox. Her completed workshop plan proves that she already has one.
So it's not that she's lost, right? It's not that she's lacking direction.
Right.
It's something else that's preventing her from moving forward along the path that she's already laid out.
Exactly.
This is reminding me that like sometimes we need to look beyond that obvious explanation.
Absolutely.
What we think is the issue, like, might just be a smokescreen for something much deeper going on beneath the surface.
Totally. And as Sophie goes deeper into her experience, she describes this emotional pattern that I think a lot of us might find relatable.
Okay.
She says that she experiences immense joy and energy during the creative process itself.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Once a project is finished, her enthusiasm completely deflates, like a souffle that's been taken out of the oven too soon.
Oh, man.
And she starts to doubt the value of her work and ends up just abandoning.
Oh, the dreaded souffle effect.
Right.
I've been there. I've so been there. You pour your heart and soul into something and then poof, the excitement's gone.
Yeah.
No wonder we procrastinate if that's waiting for us at the finish line.
Exactly. And so for Sophie, this emotional downswing seems to be a key driver of her procrastination. So then the question becomes, why does this happen? What triggers that shift from like joyful creation to complete deflation?
Yeah.
And is it happening before or after the project is actually
Right.
finished? These are all things that we're going to explore.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat. So we've got this successful hypnotherapist.
Mm-hmm.
She's stuck in this cycle of creative bursts followed by this like crushing self-doubt.
Yeah,
And it seems like there's something way deeper going on here than just a lack of discipline.
total.
Can't wait to see what happens next.
Okay, welcome back to our deep dive into procrastination.
Yeah.
When we left off, Sophie, our hypnotherapist, was grappling with this whole like souffle effect,
Yeah.
all that like, soaring creative energy that just totally crashes once the project's done.
Right.
And I'm so curious to understand what's behind that pattern because I bet a lot of us can relate. Absolutely. And to kind of unpack that a little bit further, let's look at a really pivotal moment in the session.
Okay.
Sophie describes this physical sensation,
Oh.
a wall in her solar plexus
Okay.
that seems connected to this emotional cycle that she's going through.
Oh, the infamous wall. Okay, so now I remember from, my own hypnosis training that the body often holds clues to what's happening in the mind.
Mm-hmm.
So this wall imagery, that's powerful stuff.
Yeah, it is. And Virginie, being the skilled hypnotist that she is, she doesn't just brush past this.
Right.
She guides Sophie to actually explore this wall with curiosity,
Okay.
letting it unfold organically.
I like that.
And initially it just seems like a simple blockage,
Yeah.
preventing Sophie from moving forward.
Okay.
But then things take a really unexpected turn.
Interesting.
The wall kind of morphs into something much more complex.
Uh-huh.
It becomes a way for Sophie to not be seen.
That's so fascinating. It's like her subconscious is actually creating this wall as like a protective mechanism,
Yeah.
shielding her from some kind of perceived danger.
Right.
But instead of like, forcing her way through it,
Yeah.
Virginie encourages Sophie to really understand like its purpose.
Right.
It's almost like she's saying, hey, well, what are you trying to protect Sophie from?
Yeah, exactly. And remember, this is all happening while Sophie is in a deep trance state,
Right.
which is allowing for these deeper subconscious patterns to kind of emerge.
Yeah.
And what's so powerful about conversational hypnosis is that it's not about the hypnotist like leading the client.
Right.
It's about creating that space for the client to really uncover their own like inner wisdom.
Ooh, so it's like a guided self-exploration where the answers are already within you, just waiting to be discovered.
Right, exactly.
So cool.
And as Sophie continues to explore the wall, it evolves even further.
Okay.
It becomes movable,
Movable. Okay.
meaning she can choose when to be seen and when to not be seen.
Wow.
So this is huge, right? Because she's no longer at the mercy of this subconscious block. She's gaining a sense of agency and control.
That's such a powerful shift. It's like she's taking back the power from this fear of being seen. And you mentioned that she's doing this all in a trance state, right?
Right.
So that means these shifts are happening at a deep subconscious level.
Exactly. In fact, there's a point where she doesn't even remember saying certain things,
Wow.
which, further suggests that she was in a deep trance.
Right.
And it highlights this idea that profound transformation can actually occur outside of our conscious awareness.
It's both amazing and a little bit spooky, right? Like there's this whole world of healing and growth happening like beneath the surface of our everyday thoughts.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got this wall, right?
Mm-hmm.
It represents a fear of being seen, but where does that fear even come from? Like, do we have any clues so far?
Well, it seems like this fear might be connected to Sophie's childhood.
Okay.
She mentions that as a child, she felt like her knowledge and insights weren't, and this is another French term, de actualité, which essentially means they weren't relevant or appreciated.
Wow. Okay, so it's heartbreaking to think about a child feeling like they have to hide their true self.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder how many of us have built similar walls to protect ourselves from feeling unseen or unheard.
Right. And now fast forward, Sophie is a successful adult,
Yeah.
but that inner child, is still carrying that wound.
Right.
So it makes sense that when she considers putting her work out into the world, those old fears, they resurface.
It's like those early experiences, they create these blueprints
Yeah.
for how we navigate the world, right?
Right.
And sometimes we just need to go back and like rewrite those blueprints. So they actually support us rather than hold us back.
Exactly. And it's so fascinating how this all ties back to Sophie's emphasis on, again, this heart-to-heart connection that she feels in her hypnotherapy practice. She contrasts this with her fear of her ego driving her writing and workshop ideas.
Okay.
It's as if she sees her ego as like a potential contamination
Right.
of that pure, heart-centered space that she creates with her clients.
That makes total sense. It's like she's discovered this, beautiful way of connecting with people that feels authentic and safe.
Yeah.
And she's afraid that, like, by putting herself out there in a bigger way, she'll lose that sense of, like, intimacy and vulnerability.
And here's where Virginie's expertise really shines.
Okay.
She helps Sophie to recognize that it's not the creative desire itself that's ego-driven, it's the specific form that it takes.
Ooh, that's a really powerful distinction.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of us get stuck on the how instead of the why.
Right.
We fixate on this specific outcome, like I must write a book, without really even examining if that form is truly aligned with our deepest motivations.
Exactly. So maybe a book or a workshop.
Yeah.
It isn't the right container for this particular message.
Right.
Maybe there's a different way for Sophie to share her work
Yeah.
that feels more congruent with, her desire for that direct heart-to-heart connection.
Okay, I'm loving this reframe. It's not about like, judging ourselves for having an ego. It's about being mindful of how it shows up and finding ways to express ourselves authentically without letting it, run the whole show.
Right. And as Sophie kind of integrates these insights, another really interesting thing happens.
Okay.
Remember that fear of being too late?
Yeah.
That she had mentioned earlier. Well, it kind of pops up again here.
Yeah.
But in a slightly different way.
Okay.
This time, it's connected to this worry that her message is no longer relevant because others are already talking about similar things.
Ah, yes. The classic comparison trap. It's like that voice in our head saying, well, someone else is already doing it better, so why bother?
Right.
I think we've all battled that one at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's where Virginie offers another, brilliant reframing.
Okay.
She reminds Sophie that her truth, her unique perspective, is inherently valuable precisely because it's hers.
Oh, I love that.
No one else can express it in the same way.
It's like that saying, there's nothing new under the sun, but there are a million ways to tell the same story. It's the individual voice, It's the unique blend of experiences and insights that really makes all the difference.
Right, exactly. And it's so interesting how she actually acknowledges the success she's already experienced when she has shared her knowledge. People have responded positively.
Yeah.
Yet she still doubts the value of her contribution. It's like she's struggling to internalize those positive experiences.
Right.
Almost as if she doesn't believe she deserves that recognition.
That's so common, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
We can have all this, external validation, but if we don't truly believe in ourselves, it's like it doesn't even count.
Right. It's as if she's stuck in this, negative feedback loop.
Yeah.
Even when she proves herself wrong.
Yeah.
She finds a way to discount her accomplishments.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, it wouldn't be surprising if that pattern was also connected to, those early childhood experiences where her insights weren't valued.
This is making me think about how, interconnected everything is. Our past experiences, our subconscious beliefs, our fears, our creative blocks, they're all woven together in this, intricate tapestry.
Yes, and the beauty of approaches like conversational hypnosis is that they really allow us to gently unravel those threads,
Yeah.
and kind of create a new, more empowering narrative.
So how does her story continue to unfold? I'm eager to hear how she navigates these, deep-seated beliefs and fears.
Okay, we are back, and I am still reeling from all these insights from Sophie's session. It's incredible how conversational hypnosis can, uncover these hidden patterns and beliefs that are, really driving our behavior. Yeah, it really is remarkable. And as we kind of move toward the end of Sophie's journey, something truly incredible happens.
Okay.
Remember that wall in her solar plexus, that protective mechanism that she had built to avoid being seen? Well, as she works through these deep-seated beliefs and fears, the wall simply disappears.
Wait, seriously? It just vanishes?
It dissolves as she releases those old patterns and embraces her worthiness.
Wow, that gives me chills. It's like she finally gave herself permission to be seen, to shine her light brightly without that like fear or reservation.
Exactly. And what's even more fascinating is that Sophie doesn't fully remember the details of this, like transformation.
Wow.
She's surprised by the things she said and the insights that she uncovered while she was in that deep trance state.
Right.
It really speaks to the profound nature of this work and its ability to facilitate deep healing outside of our conscious awareness.
It's like our subconscious mind holds this vast reservoir of wisdom and understanding.
That our conscious mind often just struggles to access.
Yeah.
And when we create the right conditions through practices like hypnosis or meditation or even, just like deep mindful listening,
Yeah.
we can tap into that wisdom and allow it to kind of guide us towards like greater wholeness and self-expression.
Absolutely. And I think Sophie's story offers such a powerful lesson for all of us, which is that, procrastination is very rarely, if ever, about laziness or a lack of discipline.
Yeah.
More often than not, it's a symptom of these deeper fears and limiting beliefs that are holding us back from fully stepping into our creative power and sharing our unique gifts with the world. It's about understanding that those blocks often stem from a place of protection.
Yeah.
From this, need to keep ourselves safe from perceived danger or judgment.
Right. So it's like a reminder to be gentle with ourselves and to approach those fears with curiosity and compassion rather than self-criticism. Absolutely. And remember, you don't have to do this alone. Seeking support from a therapist or a coach who specializes in this kind of work can make a world of difference.
Yeah.
They can provide a safe and supportive space for you to really explore those deeper layers of yourself and to develop strategies for overcoming those blocks.
This entire deep dive has been such an eye-opener. It's given me a whole new perspective on procrastination. It's not a character flaw.
Yeah.
It's like a signal that something deeper needs our attention.
Exactly. And I would encourage you as a listener to reflect on the projects that you've been putting off. What feelings come up when you think about those projects? Fear, overwhelm, self-doubt. Try to trace those feelings back to their source. What beliefs or past experiences might be fueling them?
And once you've identified those beliefs, ask yourself, are they truly serving me? Or are they holding me back from living a more authentic and fulfilling life?
Beautifully said. Remember, your unique voice and perspective, they matter. The world needs your creativity. Don't let procrastination steal your joy or dim your light. You have so much to offer.
So take a moment to connect with that creative spark within you. It's there, it's waiting to be ignited. What's one step, even if it's a small one, that you can take today to move towards your dreams?
And remember, progress over perfection.
Yes.
Be kind to yourself, celebrate your wins, and trust the journey.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into the hidden world of procrastination. And we'll see you next time for another fascinating exploration into the human mind and all its wonders.